Hey guys, welcome to the Rosario Homestead and Garden. I'm going to show you guys how to make your basic white bread. This will make one loaf. If you want to make more than one loaf, I suggest doing your batches at different times. Don't do it all together. Alright, let's get started. First thing first, you're going to need your bowl. If you don't have a KitchenAid, you can just use any regular mixing bowl. You are going to need 2 1/4 cups of warm water, and by warm water I mean like baby bottle water warm. You are going to need a pinch of sugar. Make sure your surface is clean, make sure your hands are really clean, because you're going to be working with dough and touching sugar, and I'm sorry I have to tell you that, YouTube's policy. I'm sure you know to wash your hands. Anyways, so you need a pinch of sugar, 2 1/4 cups of warm water, and I use the active dry all natural yeast. You can use starter yeast. I've used that. I just happen to have this on hand. So sprinkle that around in there. And you're going to want to let that sit for about 10 minutes until this gets frothy, like real foamy. You'll know the difference when it's ready. It'll get real foamy, and then the smell gets really intense. So in about 10 minutes I will be back, and then we will finish making the bread. We gotta let our yeast activate first, so I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Okay guys, it's been about 10 minutes. One thing I wanted to tell you real fast is I buy Red Star active dry yeast. I also have starter yeast in my fridge, but one packet of this is about 2 1/4 teaspoons. So when you're making bread, most recipes call for 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. If you are using starter yeast, then 1 cup of starter yeast is substituted for it's equal to 1 package of that. If you're going to use starter yeast out of your fridge, then you subtract about half a cup of water and 3/4 cups of flour from your recipe. We're not going to do that here because, again, I used a packet of active dry yeast. But if you do use your starter yeast, then you would use 1 cup, and then you would subtract water and flour, because it's how the starter yeast is made. But now that we got that, let me move that out of the way. This is ready. So what you want to do now is add 2 tablespoons of oil. I used, let me see if you guys can see that, extra virgin olive oil. You don't have to. You can use whatever oil that you want. You need 2 tablespoons of salt. You need 1/4 cups of sugar. And you know what? Let's stir that little bit up real quick. Okay. Alright, now that little bit is mixed up, what you want to do is I have 6 cups of flour here. You want to put about 4 of those cups into your mix. You want to start off with about 4. Okay. So let me go ahead and add some flour to this real fast. In this one, I'm just using regular all-purpose flour. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be bread flour. It can just be your regular all-purpose flour from the grocery store. Okay. So you want to start with about 4 cups. Start it mixing on low. Now while this is going, I always scrape down the sides. I have a thin spatula just to get it to pick it up. Now when it gets to this phase, you want to add half a cup of flour at a time until it gets firm. Still, it'll stick to your finger a little bit, but it's still firm, that it's not super gooey. So as soon as I get back to that phase, I will show you exactly what it looks like. Okay guys, this is about the consistency that you're looking for. Let me move this stuff out of the way. All in all, I used about 5.5 cups of flour to do this. So it's like I said, it's still a little sticky, which is okay. That's how you want it. Move this out of the way. Let me move this out of the way. Again, make sure there's nothing on your surface here. Okay. I am going to add a little bit of flour. Let's see. Make sure I'm in frame here. Okay. It's sticky, yet still it's bouncy. It's still very pliable. And that's how you know your consistency is right. So you want to get it all out of your pan here. And then in the same pan, you want to just add some olive oil. And just kind of spin it around. And then set that aside for a few minutes. Alright. And then as far as this, can you guys see this? Let me make sure you guys can see that. Okay. Sprinkle a little flour. And how I do this is I just pull it. Spin it and pull it. I'm going to do that for a couple of minutes. Especially if you're using a regular mixing bowl. I only do this just for a few minutes to make sure it's pliable and forms well, because my KitchenAid pretty much needed it on its own.
Oh, wow. Good.
Mm-hmm. Same way Mommy makes bread bowls.
Oh.
Only the bread bowls are smaller.
Yeah, but the bread's a little bit bigger than how you made it.
This is
dough.
Your regular, basic, white, homemade, like sandwich bread. Don't play in that. When it starts to get a little tough, you'll know it's ready.
We're making it for the people that don't have food because of the coronavirus.
That's right. Because it's hard to find bread, and I don't have any, so
we have to make some.
Today was a good day to make a couple of loaves.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And it's huge. Is it tough?
All right. Just kind of form it into a ball. Drop it down into your pan with your oil. Spin it. And then flip it. Make sure all sides are nice and oily. Okay. And then, once you get it in here, watch out, baby.
You take a piece of plastic and you
Cover it with some plastic wrap.
Oh god, it's noodles there.
It's not noodles, baby, that's dough.
Dough?
Let me get...
God, that's very soft dough.
this out of the way. I don't really want to get flour on my stuck to all the saran wrap that we're putting over this.
Oh yeah, the bowl clean. Oh my god, I'm so tiny when I see it in the bowl clean. And now I have a big plate and I'm very hungry.
Okay. I always put 2 layers of saran wrap. Just one on each side. And then pop this into your oven for about an hour. This dough will double. Don't turn your oven on. Just put it in the oven and turn your oven light on, and that will keep the little bit of warmth that it needs to rise. So in 1 hour, I will be back to show you what this looks like, and then we will get this ready for the oven. Alright guys, so real fast before I move that here, your regular bread pans, this one batch will make 2 loaves. I have another batch going. I need 4. My kids. If you have kids, double it up. You know how they eat. They're like bottomless pits. So anyways, let me get... My oil is super oily on the outside. I just spray the sides. And I always use a piece of wax paper in my bread pans, because then it never sticks to the bottom. And then your bread just slides right out. Anyways, so just a quick tip. I always use a piece of wax paper. So then you just slide your knife across the sides of the bread, and then when you flip it, it's out. Pull it off the bottom, and then there goes that. So I do have 4 of these done now. So those are just set aside. Now, once your bread has risen...
Oh, what's that look like?
Yeah, in my kitchen. Alright. That's how it's going to look. You just punch it down. Flip it out. Cut it in half.
Something isn't good on the turnpike.
Okay. Now that that's aside, I'm going to grab a rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, it's fine, just use your hands, but I'm just going to... You want it to be about 8 inches wide. Okay. And then just take the edges of it and roll it up. And pinch your seams together. And do that with both of them. Pop it into your pan. Let's do the other one real quick. Remember, you want it about 8 inches wide in a triangle form, or rectangle form, I'm sorry. A little wider. There we go. And then you just roll it up. It's alright if it sticks a little. It's oily, so pinch your seams. Make sure it's in a cylinder shape. And now what you want to do, when you get them in your pan, is, watch out Piper, is loosely cover them with more saran wrap, because you want these to sit for about an hour, because they will rise up above the pan. So make sure your saran wrap is loose. So that's very loose. I can stick my whole hand underneath here, that way you guys can see it. And then just kind of take it and just kind of push it down a little bit, because it'll rise and it'll push it up. But that way, if you just make sure it's on the sides, just lightly, nothing major. So when it rises, it'll rise with the saran wrap will push up with the bread as it rises. And then just set that in a warm spot for 1 hour, and this will rise up above the pan. Sometimes it'll go an inch or two above the pan. I have pretty large bread pans, so it may just come to the top, but this will double. So in about 1 hour, I will show you what it looks like, and then it will be time to bake it. When it reaches the top of the pan, preheat your oven to 375 degrees. So as soon as, I'd say in about 45 minutes, preheat to 375. So in about an hour, as soon as this is done, we'll pop it in the oven. Okay guys, so the bread has risen. I sat them here for about probably an hour and 20 minutes. My oven is preheated to 375. Basically, let me go ahead and take this off. See what I mean? How when the bread would rise, it just pushed the saran wrap up, so I just made sure it was loose. These are my larger bread pans. This is my, let me see here. Let me back you out a little bit. Okay. That came up above the pan. So once all your bread is risen, you want to put it in a 375 degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes. You'll know, when the top is nice and golden brown. As soon as it comes out of the oven, it's completely up to you. I brush mine with melted butter immediately, and then I flip it onto a cooling rack, and then I leave it set to cool off. So as soon as I pull these out of the oven, I will show you guys what they look like. 375 for 30 to 35 minutes. Alright guys, our oven just went off, so let me get the bread out of the oven. And these absolutely look amazing. What I'm going to do real quick is run down. Let me make sure you guys are in frame here. Hold on. Okay, yeah, we're good. I'm going to run down a knife. If it sounds like that, it's done right. Okay. All the wax paper off. I have melted butter here, so I'm just going to whip a little bit of this on the bottom. Make sure you get all the wax paper off. There we go. Flip it over. Do this one as well. You don't have to butter the bottom. I do. You don't have to use butter on your bread at all if you don't want to. And then don't be shy about it if you do butter the top of your bread, because all it does is soften it up real good. I started this video at 9 o'clock this morning, and it is 12:30 exactly. So this one isn't a real long recipe. It doesn't take like 10 hours like some of the other breads that I do make. So if you are out of bread, and you know your kids are going to be needing it for lunch or anything like that, if you wake up in the morning and you start it, there is no reason why they will not have bread by lunchtime if you go pretty early. So it's hot. I don't know if you guys can see the steam coming off of this. tinfoil here. And there you have it. Perfect loaf of white bread. So, there you go. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell to get notified of new uploads. Tomorrow we will be doing homemade cinnamon rolls. So you guys have a great day and enjoy your bread.